we have failed in is having an independent body that can put together statistics on jobs. So in the US, for example, they have the US Bureau of Labor Statistics that captures the data and publishes the reports, I think, on a monthly basis. In the Kufuor administration, we tried a job registration exercise, didn't succeed much. In the Mills administration, I recall my brother Ablakwa, Deputy Information Minister at the time, announcing the famous 1.6 million jobs. And later, the Employment Minister was struggling to reconcile. In the Akufo-Addo administration, we resorted to SNIT data of about 2.6 million jobs. It was a matter of public debate. Mr. Speaker, I'm raising this because it's a lesson that as a republic we must learn. And it will serve the new Employment and Labor Minister well if he pays attention to something like creating an Office of Employment Statistics or Labor Statistics in Ghana that can independently gather this data that the political and academic and economic classes can agree on. So we wish him well. Mr. Speaker, the second person I want to speak about is the Honorable Murtala Mohammed Ibrahim, going to Environment, Science and Technology. We're having a big debate here this afternoon about whether or not we can rely on what somebody has written as a matter of fact. Is a debate that is at large. But Mr. Speaker, now the fight against Galamsey, as he also alluded to in his vetting, is something he has to exercise his mind to. And in collaborating with his colleagues, the Minister for Lands, maybe Defense, etc., they will be able to do a bit more in addition to what has been done already. It's a fight that successive governments have battled. We all recall the videos of Professor Mills complaining about it. We recall the videos of President Akufo-Addo committing to work at it. Today, that matter is still at large. So the Honorable Murtala, as you go there, today the cap is squarely on your head, and you have to collaborate with your colleagues to try and achieve some results in addition to what has been achieved in that area. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak about the Minister Designate for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation. A couple of things, or maybe three things that we have learned just exiting government that he should pay attention to. First is value-added services in the telecom space. A lot of work is being done on voice and data, but if you look at the global economy, a lot of young people are finding expression and wealth in value-added services. Here in Ghana, the digital centers, etc., can do a lot more in that space. He shouldn't just focus on the telcos, voice and data, but value-added services and how to help young Ghanaians take advantage of that. Attendant to that is the case of business process outsourcing centers. India, Singapore, some other parts of the world are creating a lot of jobs for young people through BPOs. It will serve Ghana well if the minister pays attention to that area. And also the fintech ecosystem requires a lot of support for the young Ghanaians. A lot of them previously will be doing what some may call Sakawa, etc. But that shows that they have the skill. And if they are supported in the fintech ecosystem, they can do some more. And so it will serve Ghana well if he pays some attention to that. Two final points, and then I'll rest, Mr. Speaker. The Minister for Sports and Recreation. It is the new administration that has been talking a lot about the 24-hour economy. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy for some people is becoming like e-levy. When you ask about jobs, they say 24-hour economy. When you ask about growth, they say 24-hour economy. When you ask about everything, they say 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy requires them to pay attention, for example, to the astroturfs, hundreds of them that have been built across the country. That is one viable way, Kofi. That is one viable way that night sports under those floodlights can function. And so it is a good space that you should pay attention to so that at least your 24-hour economy will find expression in night sports using the astroturfs that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration bequeathed to you before we left office. Minister, to look at the Tamale airport as the Honorable Education Minister spoke about, but also to pay attention to electronic vehicles. You will recall that the immediate exited administration piloted a rollout of electronic vehicles in the public transport area as part of efforts of reducing the cost of transport. Today, the new president has interestingly named the energy minister also as Minister for Green Transitions. It's an indication that there's a lot of interest to ensure that the green space is, may I say, played in some more. It will help if the minister, collaborating with the Minister for Energy, ensure that the policy on EVs is put to use as quickly as possible. In particular, Mr. Speaker, the duties of, on electronic vehicles, so that people who want to go into electronic vehicles, particularly large occupancy electronic vehicles, will find them cheaper, bring them in, and help to reduce the cost of transportation. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, we'll support the motion that was moved by the chairman of the committee. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Okudzeto. Yes, let me now turn to Ablakwa, Minister for Roads and Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion moved by the chairman of the appointment committee and seconded by our respected colleague, the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, indeed, I believe honorable people have what it takes to drive the government's agenda of creating more job opportunities. It's a very experienced politician and of a calm demeanor and can take the job and do it very well. Mr. Speaker, very passionate about the environment and has advocated on many occasions what we can do. And I know that he's somebody who has got a research background as well. So some of the things raised by my good friend, Honorable Okudzeto, I believe, I respect the position taken by the minority. But just to say that their stance is a bit problematic. If we begin to, for instance, he has failed to produce documents relating to businesses of his spouse. Mr. Speaker, Sam George is not the owner of his wife. You need permission. Yes, Sam George is not the owner of his wife. If your wife owns a business, you need her permission to be able to give details of that business. So this idea that when you are being vetted, you can be vetted on everything, including personal things. I am just saying that whilst it's him today, one day, be prepared that some other questions which has no relation to the portfolio can come up. And then this thing about his secondary source of income, really. So colleagues on the other side are saying that if somebody were to ask you to actually determine how much you spend as a member of parliament, you will be able to account for all of it and put it in a document. Oh, but that is your point. I think these points are too feeble. These points are too feeble points to be used to say that you will not support him. But you have your point. With regard to Honorable Kofi Edi, the new minister designate for youth and for sports, I agree with Honorable Okudzeto that we have seen the building of a number of astroturfs across the country. The record, though, is that many of them are not built to standard. Some of them are failing already, and many of them are, let's face it, many of them are in constituencies located to this side of the house at the moment. That is the fact. But he's made a very important point. He's made a very important point that let's ensure that we can put those to use even beyond when the sun is there. And I agree with him. And I'm sure Honorable Kofi has what it takes to be able to do that. With regard to Honorable Nikwe, I have no doubt that he understands exactly what the job description is. One of the things he talked about is the EV. But Honorable Okudzeto, the truth is that, yes, the previous government said they have got an EV policy. And then on the day of the launching of the buses, we were told 100 EV buses are available. I checked that time. Only 10 buses were registered at DVLA. So we don't have 100 EV buses. We have 10. But even those 10, would you be concerned that if that bus moves from Tema Station and gets stuck in traffic on the way, it may not be able to get to Tema and come back because we don't have the infrastructure to handle them yet. So in the haste to deploy EVs, it comes with infrastructure. So it's not merely having a policy. We don't have, because you need to charge it. It is not fuel. So I agree with you. Finally, Mr. Speaker, you see, I know my colleague, the minority leader, always complains that when he is speaking or people speaking from the other side, he's harassed. When Honorable Nkrumah was speaking, I saw my colleagues listen to him in silence. So please, can you indulge us? Mr. Speaker, our respected former leader and the Minister of Education raised an issue. Mr. Speaker, the spectacle we saw at the appointment committee, I was there the last time. I am happy we have been able to resolve it. The leader of the minority, I saw you made certain points, including the fact that the Honorable Sam George will retract and other things. I want to use this opportunity. I know that as members of parliament, we are not blind. We all know and can tell who in the parliamentary service, or we have suspicion, could be NDC or an MPP. But we never put that kind of information outside. I know, and you know, that there are members of parliament who have direct relations with people in the parliamentary service. But the point I'm making is that the way by which the minority leader actually dealt with the clerk of the appointment committee, Mr. Speaker, no. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, is it part of my report?
Honorable member.
I can tell my colleagues, I just left my job as a whip. Whenever I'm speaking, somebody puts my mic off. I can tell you, I can do that right now. That when you are speaking,
Leader,
I can make sure you are
Minister, please.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I'm listening to you. Mr. Speaker.
Minister, address me.
Okay.
I wish the issue about the clerk has been addressed by the speaker. So let's focus on the nominee. And
Mr. Speaker, let me tell you why this issue has to be dealt with. I know the lady and I know the family. They are extremely traumatized. Mr. Speaker, after the minority. All I'm going to say, Mr. Speaker, allow me. All I'm going to say is that give the opportunity to my very good friend, the respected minority leader, to openly apologize to the club. Repeatedly, when I speak, they put the mic off. Mr. Speaker, they should not tempt us to do the same thing that when you speak, you cannot be heard. And I can see, Mr. Speaker, there's a female colleague on the other side, who I don't want to mention, who have become an expert in that. There's a female colleague on the other side, who have become an expert in that. Mr. Speaker, I am just saying that I know the lady. The family is traumatized and they feel that Parliament, and I'm happy with the way Mr. Speaker defended her. Mr. Speaker, I sit here, I say, everybody in Parliament knows which stuff is political, NDC or NPP, but we never use that against them. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you the political coloration of the four people sitting here. But that is not my business. So for the minority leader, a very respected leader of this house, to actually lay into the clerk that way, I am saying that for us to look like people who actually care about women, she must actually apologize personally, apologize on the floor. He can decide, Mr. Speaker, he can decide not to do it. He can decide not to do it. But I am just saying that for the trauma the family of the clerk is going through, it will help if you make some statement here to calm them down that it's not it's not something personal. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I just want to add to what Honorable Haruna said. We have consistently disagreed vehemently in this house, and you being the chair, we speak, and then we leave it there. For the fact that for the first time since I entered this house in 2013, colleagues got so infuriated to the extent of physically destroying tools that have been given to us to work with. Should never happen again. Not say why? Because I was sitting there. The control in front of me, Mr. Speaker. I saw the colleague who said okay. Honorable member. Mr. Speaker. Honorable member. In the Parliament. Mr. Speaker. Please. Mr. Speaker, do you know why I need to talk about this? I have been invited. I've been invited by the committee. Honorable member. Investigating. Honorable Minister, please. I wish we hold on to this. Let's focus on the nominee. I think we will revisit this particular issue. Let's focus on the nominee and pass them. Some of them sitting here, all what they are waiting is they have been passed. So please, let's focus on the nominee and pass them. Yes, then later on we can revisit this. I saw my respected the leader of the minority side suggest that he was expecting Honorable Sam George to retract some of the things he said about the Chief Justice. He was expecting him to retract things he said about President Akufo-Addo. I am honorably urging my leader that the same principles by which you use to say that you will not support Honorable Sam George, I'm encouraging you, use the same principles and apologize to the clerk in which you lay to and then apologize to her. Thank you very much. Interim Minister. Leader, will you, leader. Let me deal with it. Let me deal with it, please. Mr. Speaker, my respected friend and colleague, who is now the Minister of Roads and Highways, in making his contribution, introduced an important matter which arose in the course of our committee hearings. Mr. Speaker, what I'm sure he's not aware is that this matter has been discussed at a very high level in this house. We've had engagement, and I am not a person who would have hesitation where I think I am wrong. I would hide behind my ego to hurt another person. I had assured Mr. Speaker that based on the engagement, I was actually going to make a formal statement here in this house in respect of all the matters. We're all human beings. Maybe somebody, I remember when we were kids, somebody will use their eye to provoke you. But when you hit, it is that which is seen. But we've moved past there. Mr. Speaker, without equivocation, I shall proceed in terms of what my brother said. And he and I have a long relationship. I don't mind he saying that publicly. It is for the good of all of us. Today, I'm 46. Tomorrow, I may be 50.
and I will not be the same person. We grow, we learn, we mature. If Kwame is saying that he knows the family, and my Akpo, please, it doesn't mean anything. Please. We've been in this house for some time, I beg you. If Kwame holds a view that he knows the family, my reaction on the conduct of our clerk has resulted in some trauma to the family. He knows the family, I don't know the family. And the lady in question. Let me, Mr. Speaker, unreservedly say, what's her name? I want to mention the name in full. Please. I will do it. Mr. Speaker, let me unreservedly say to the clerk to the appointment committee, Mrs. Gifty Jagger Goba, I am sorry. Let me also say to her husband, Mr. Speaker, she bears Mrs. Let me also say to the husband, the lovely husband, that my comment in respect of internal matter, if as a husband he is traumatized by this, I hereby unreservedly apologize to him as a husband. To the children, let me unreservedly say sorry to the children. Let me unreservedly say sorry to the extended family, those close and dear to her who are affected by my outpour of disappointment in her conduct. And to all her colleagues in the parliamentary service, including colleagues who felt that I could have managed the matter better. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry. I again apologize unreservedly, and I know that with all discussions held, we would be able to work better in spite of some reservations that we may have. Mr. Speaker, let me emphasize that even as we were resolving this matter, at least I've had a better approach. This afternoon we met. I had the opportunity of looking at drafts and she making corrections, and relationship has been restored. She and I did not have a bad blood. She knows the relationship, the former relationship I had with her in our work. Except that, Kwame, I have been a majority leader before. I was in that black seat. You were here opposite. The standard she held in respect of dealings between the majority and the minority leader was what perhaps compelled my reaction. Because, please, colleagues, a man must be heard. Please. A man must be heard. Please, please, please. She held us to such a high standard, and I felt that the same treatment could come from her whilst we are in minority. But that notwithstanding, I concede that there is always a better way to react to a situation. And I will not allow ego to direct me on what to do, especially when she's a woman. I unreservedly, one more time, withdraw this, and I would write a personal letter to her to keep for her records from the bottom of my heart. Mr. Speaker, I rest my case.
Yes, it's now the turn of Reverend.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity given me. I rise to comment on the motion, supporting the motion that has been moved, and in so doing to commend highly the respected majority leader, the respected minority leader, the Honorable Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin, for the nobility, civility, and humility demonstrated and the honor in seeing fit to apologize unreservedly and withdrawing any comments that may have been deemed offensive to the clerk of the appointment committee. Mr. Speaker, it is instructive to note that this is not the first time in relation to the activities of the appointment committee and processes for parliamentary approval. This is not the first time the Honorable Minority Leader has had to apologize. The other occasion was to apologize to a nominee who was before the committee, who stated that he and his family and chiefs were offended by some utterances of the minority leader. He unreservedly apologized and retracted. Today he has demonstrated. But we must put on record that Honorable Alexander Ferryman, neither is there any member of the minority side. None of us is on the pending approval of this House. It is members of the majority who is watching to demonstrate the higher standards of nobility, of humility, and of service. Mr. Speaker, my respected senior Minister for Education earlier had quoted Article 78(1) that ministers of state shall be appointed by the President from Parliament by Parliament's prior approval. Members of Parliament or members who have the same eligibility to become members of Parliament. But, Mr. Speaker, there is a reason why the framers of the Constitution insisted that when the President appoints a minister, they must obtain the prior approval of Parliament. It goes beyond the technical qualification. It goes beyond technical competence, but character, leadership, nobility, and accountability, among others, are the traits they look out for. I am looking at my colleagues taking a cue from the nobility just demonstrated. To the nominee for the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment, Honorable Rashid Purple, very respected member of this House, I've had the opportunity to review one of his books that he authored, True Meaning of Life. His temperament and his past record of public service give me every assurance that he would have what it takes to be able to work to maintain the calm labor front that we have seen over the past years, and to ensure that he engages the multiplicity of stakeholders within the labor front to ensure that their demands are discussed, they are heard, and even not fully, when the expectations are not fully met, they receive the assurances that will help them work with their government. On 24 hours economy, the nominee assured the House and the committee that he would work with his government to ensure that companies that are not already operating 24 hours are given support, specific support, to ensure that they're able to employ 3 teams and 3 batches, 3 shifts for 24-hour economy to be fully operationalized. That is a commendable assurance. But we want to see that assurance given effect to in the first budget that may be presented to this House. That will be the commitment that indeed there is concrete plans to incentivize the private sector to tap into President Mahama's 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, I wish him well. On Honorable Joseph Bukari Nikpe, Minister for Transport Designate, I have every confidence that the minister will have what it takes, given his temperament and how we know him, to be able to engage the multiple stakeholders, particularly within our public transport front, to ensure that it's unified, that ensure that they provide safer and peaceful and more efficient public transport system for Ghanaians. He also assured the committee that the general concern of the public relating to the poor state of aircraft and the relatively high costs of airfares that are of airlines that are operating in Ghana will be looked into to ensure that we have value for money, that we have improved air transport system, and that outdated aircraft are taken from our system. Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, the Minister Designate for Environment, on page 49, Mr. Speaker, the nominee acknowledged the steps taken by the erstwhile government, the MPP government, in making available abundant solar energy resources, and assured that he would champion exploring or championing an initiative where the government agencies and ministries would tap into these resources to ensure that we have efficient energy utilization. President Trump signed an executive instrument that saw the United States of America withdrawing from the important climate change treaty that Ghana is a signatory to. In reaction to this very important concern or development, the nominee assured that he was going to do something about it. But beyond the rhetoric, it is important that the nominee pays attention to exploring innovative financing mechanisms, because there will definitely be financing shortfalls to be able to finance the financing gaps within the climate change action that this country is committed to. And we wish him well in his pursuit. But he concluded on page 50, as contained on page 51 of the report, that as part of his legacies, he is going to ensure that he leaves a legacy of discipline at the ministry, and that all the agencies under his ministry will also be called to discipline. And to this, we are all urging that he walks the talk, particularly when he cites discipline as a legacy he wants to leave at the ministry. Regarding Honorable Sam George, Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation Designate, it is important that the minister, when, if approved, prioritizes the digital, rural, urban digital divide. The poor child in Asen, Jinabodie, deserves to have the same infrastructure to support its 21st century learning, to ensure that telecommunication infrastructure is provided in rural areas much as are available in urban areas. And that is one challenge that will be a feather in his cap if you looked at. One of the commitments he himself cited was the challenge of cybercrime activities. And we would urge him that, if approved, to pay attention to sanitizing the cyberspace and curbing cybercrime activities to ensure that safe environment is maintained for online business, education, leisure, and other very purposeful activities. Last but not least, Honorable Kofi Idi Adams, Minister Designate for Sports and Recreation. He has assured this House that under his leadership, he is going to ensure that Black Stars brings home caps, that our national teams bring home medals and laurels. We will support him in that feat. Football is one sport that unites the whole country, that tones down the tensions when politics raises it. Sports comes in to unite us. It is important that he pays attention to that sector, and beyond that, to expand the development of other sports. On this note, I congratulate the nominees and to urge that for the purposes of tomorrow, serving in the executive, if you find yourself in backbench or in the minority, your public utterances are important. Your public contact today are as important as when you are nominated. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Yes. Honorable, okay, Ferris.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will keep it brief. Mr. Speaker, my colleague and brother, the Honorable Member for Ofuasia UAB, made a point in his submission that no significant savings can be made by cutting down the number of ministers. Mr. Speaker, I beg to differ. The fact is that if at one point there were 125 or 126 ministers, and today we have 60 ministers, it is a mathematical certainty that you will spend less in the maintenance of ministers than you did in the past. This is not disputable. Mr. Speaker, there used to be a Ministry of Information with a whole setup that had both political appointees, public servants, and civil servants. Today, their functions have been taken over by an office called Minister in Charge of Government Communications under the Presidency. What that means is that today there will be 76 less employees working to disseminate government information than before. Mr. Speaker, apart from the tangible financial savings, Mr. Speaker, there is also symbolic value in doing what President Mahama has done. What he has done has sent a signal to the people of Ghana that their resources, which these days is in short supply, will not be spent on the creature comforts of more politicians who occupy offices with questionable functional necessity. Mr. Speaker, in the past, one ministry, which is the transport ministry, was carved out into 3 different ministries. Today, President Mahama has consolidated that ministry, and all the work that the 3 ministries did will be done by one ministry. Significant savings will be made. In addition to that, there will be greater efficiency. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, whilst I respect the rights of our colleagues on the other side to oppose the nomination and indeed the approval of any nominee, I must express dismay about the reasons assigned for opposing, in particular, the nomination of the Honorable Samuel Jatta George. Mr. Speaker, I would have thought that they would cite some constitutional or legal impediments or even moral turpitude as the reason why his nomination cannot see the light of day. Mr. Speaker, they rather say that Honorable Sam George has run some commentary on the head of another state institution, the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, it raises the question as to when they became the mouthpiece of the judiciary. As far as I know, the Chief Justice has adequate outlets to express disapproval or disagreement with anything that anybody says. We must respect the independence of state institutions and not take over their functions. Mr. Speaker, also, you see, as members of parliament, whereas we are all here mostly on the ticket of political parties, we are first and foremost representatives of the people of Ghana. They have certain expectations of us. One of them is to engage in substantive work. The Appointments Committee is not the platform to settle political scores, especially when the same matters that have been discussed in the public domain have been lost by our colleagues on the other side.
Honorable Felix.
I do not believe, Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, I do not believe that what, okay, all right.
Yes. I just wanted you to be straightforward with it. Don't invite unnecessary.
I'll do so.
Just focus on the nominee and It's already 8 o'clock.
Mr. Speaker, I'll do so. Mr. Speaker, I am making the point, Mr. Speaker. I am making the point.
Honorable member.
The point, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable
the reasons being advanced for opposing the Honorable Sam George's nomination, in my candid view, are untenable. They do not constitute sufficient grounds for opposing the nominee. Finally, Mr. Speaker, let me extol the virtues of one or two of the nominees who are going to be passed imminently. Let me start with the Honorable Kofi Adams. I recall distinctly that about 2 decades ago, when I was a bright-eyed member of the students' wing of the NDC, and he served as a deputy national youth organizer of the NDC, he reposed confidence in me to nominate me to represent the NDC at a major event that was being held by colleagues on the other side, which was a major national conference in Kumasi. He showed that he had a keen eye for talent, and he goes to a ministry where sporting talent is key to a survivor. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, Ghana's sporting sector is in complete disarray. Only yesterday or the day before, a football fan who had gone to witness a football match did not go home back alive. He lost his life under tragic circumstances, compelling a halt of the Ghanaian League. These are challenges that I believe he has a capacity to resolve, and therefore I wish him well in the endeavor. As for the Honorable Sam George, I would argue, Mr. Speaker, that the fact that he is able to stand his ground and stick to his conviction is proof that he has what it takes to manage a high portfolio like being the Minister of State. What we do not want are flip-floppers who, on the altar of political convenience, will abandon their convictions. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, we do not need wimps to become ministers. We need men of conviction and courage, and Honorable Sam George has demonstrated same. So I will lend support to his approval. If our opponents, Mr. Speaker,
thank you, Felix, thank you so much. Let me come to Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, if our colleagues,
gentlemen,
Mr. Speaker, if our colleagues want to claw back lost political capital, they are going to have to do so the hard way, which is convincing Ghanaians that they have a superior message. They cannot use the platform of the Appointees Committee to sanitize people whose conduct was in the full care of the public.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable Samuel Bujinapo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the debate on this motion. Mr. Speaker, let me begin very straightforward with the Honorable Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpo. Mr. Speaker, when I had the privilege to serve as Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Pelpo was a ranking member on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee. Mr. Speaker, perfect gentleman, very capable, and I believe he will serve well at the Ministry of Labor, Jobs, and Employment. Mr. Speaker, I will urge him to pay attention to the tripod of labor, government, and employers, so we can have a calm labor front for the business of government and the state to move on smoothly. Mr. Speaker, on the Minister-designate for Sports, the Honorable Kofi Adams, Mr. Speaker, he's been on the political front for a long time, for a while now, and we all know him. He's a colleague, and I believe he's capable of reviving Ghanaian sports, particularly the Black Stars. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Transport, the Member of Parliament for Saboba, Mr. Speaker, who is my in-law, in whom I'm most pleased. Mr. Speaker, he's a fine gentleman. He's demonstrated a lot of knowledge, and I believe that he will bring his calm personality, wisdom, and stature to bear on the Ministry of Transport. Mr. Speaker, whilst at it, let me correct the record of this House that the airport, which was built in Tamale by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Mr. Speaker, by the Honorable, by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is called the Yakubu Tali International Airport and not the Tamale Airport. Mr. Speaker, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo built the Yakubu Tali Airport for Tamale, the first airport in northern Ghana. Of course, the first interchange again was built by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Mr. Speaker, I wish my in-law, the Honorable Nupe, will build the second phase. And may I advise, Mr. Speaker, that he pays some attention to water transportation, particularly on the Hotel Lake, and also rail transportation. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Mutala, who has been nominated for the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Speaker, I find it a bit strange that we have a Ministry of Environment, we now have a Minister of State responsible for climate change and sustainability, we have a Minister responsible for green transition. We all know in Ghana that matters relating to climate change falls within the four corners of the Ministry of Environment. And therefore, there will be the need for some streamlining so that the Ministry of Environment will take its proper role as a lead ministry when it comes to climate change. Of course, when I was at the Ministry of Lands, we dealt with nature-based climate action. When you go to transport, you have issues of climate change. When you go to agric, you have issues of climate change, Ministry of Energy. But the Ministry of Environment is a lead agency. And today that the United States has opted out of the climate environment, I believe that the minister will have a lot of work to do in championing climate change in Ghana and across. But Mr. Speaker, whilst at it, let me just take the opportunity to give a little advice to my senior brother, the Honorable Mutala. And that advice, Mr. Speaker, is that the temperament required for opposition politics and opposition activism is fundamentally different from the temperament required as a minister. And I will plead with him, and I will crave his indulgence, that he should watch his temperament, and ensure that he goes to the Ministry of Environment with a calm temperament, Mr. Speaker, with a calm temperament, so that he can administer the affairs of the ministry correctly. Mr. Speaker, let me now come to the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization. The Honorable Sam Nate George. Mr. Speaker, his approval or otherwise is a matter of intense controversy in this House, and the distinguished minority leader is already spoken to it. Mr. Speaker, if he ever was to get the approval of this House, and the if is with emphasis, if he was to get approval of this House, I did pose a question to him about artificial intelligence, and it would be great if he developed the area of artificial intelligence, particularly as we have this war between the United States and the Republic of China. I believe that Ghana should also leverage our knowledge in the artificial intelligence space. But Mr. Speaker, again, with him, as my younger brother and somebody I know quite well, I will first of all advise him that, Mr. Speaker, I respectfully advise him that he should take a cue from the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, when you err, you apologize. When you are unfair to people, you apologize. Mr. Speaker, strong men apologize. Strong women apologize. Wise men apologize. Mr. Speaker, apology is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. And so when you are wrong, when you are unfair to people, you apologize. And Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Sam George, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Sam George, I'm not too sure that anybody can take away some of his strengths, articulate, eloquent, exhibit some knowledge in some areas and others. But I think he should also watch his temperament. Just because there is a perception that he is needlessly aggressive, controversial, combatant, and if I may say, an arrogant. We saw a bit of it at the vetting. Mr. Speaker, I said it with all objectivity. I'm not taking a swipe at him. When I had the privilege of being nominated as a minister, Mr. Speaker, I had the rare privilege of being nominated at the age of 37. And I took a lot of advice from senior colleagues in this house. I took a lot of advice from statesmen in the country. And even all through my career as a minister, I sought a lot of guidance and wisdom. And Mr. Speaker, in all humility and modesty, I will say that is how I survived the 4 years as minister. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, whatever happens to my brother today, I think he should walk into the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization. Some of his senior colleagues who have had the experience of ministerialship will give him the same advice. He should go there and be calm. He should listen more than he talks. He should not exhibit, exuberance and be dismissive. And when you err, either to your chief director or civil servants or junior officers, just as the minority leader quite graciously and wisely did, you just say, I'm sorry. Nothing. There's nothing that takes that. Now, it doesn't take anything away from you. My brother and friend, the Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, talks about conviction. Yes, we all believe in the politics of conviction and not convenience. But when you err, when you are unfair to people, as I believe he was, you apologize. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude, Mr. Speaker. Let me conclude, still on the matter of communication, and say that what has happened to some of our colleagues is just a question of standards. Just because it's a question of standards. And let us all be careful. Maybe that advice goes to people like us on this side of the divide, even more than it goes to them. Just because they say when you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. It's a wise saying. When you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. And let's be careful when we are in opposition, what we say and do, and the standards we set. Today, my friend, the Honorable Sam George himself, who is popularly sometimes referred to as Jata. That's because the Jata and Lion today, he himself is now in the pocket of his wife, on his own admission. And Mr. Speaker, why is that it? Mr. Speaker, why is that it? Mr. Speaker, why is that it? Mr. Speaker, that is what, Mr. Speaker, that is what the kind of politics we do in opposition can do to us. Mr. Speaker, that is what the kind of politics we do in opposition can do to us. And Mr. Speaker, why is that it? The Honorable Sam George, as an elder of the Prez Chapel, not a member, as an elder of the Prez Chapel, and as somebody who espouses his Christian values, should also be mindful of what he watches when he's in Parliament. He should be mindful of that as well, especially when serious business is being conducted in the House. Mr. Speaker, today it will appear that my brother will have some explanation. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable members, leader, you want to speak? He was concluding, so let's conclude it. Yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Abu Jinako just indicated that
when he took up the very serious office of Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, he did well, in his opinion, because he listened to good advice from seniors and from elders. Let me continue to advise, because I still remain your senior and an elder, that platforms like this should not be used to attack the persons of colleagues. The persons of colleagues. The honorable nominee is our colleague. He is a member of this House. We may have our political disagreements, but we should not use the consideration of a report about them to go personal against them. As for some of the things that you are referring to, I'm not sure whether they are true, whether they are accurate. I have also seen a few things flying on social media. Mr. Speaker, it is not verified. It is not verified. So please, kindly withdraw those ones. Kindly withdraw those ones, and then let's continue.
Yes. Yes. Yes, minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, whenever there is difficulty, you call upon leadership to assist you. Mr. Speaker, I humbly plead with you to help us to assist you. We are debating on a matter. I've heard a very junior member of this House, who is now learning the rules of this House. He had an opportunity, he attacked. Okay, no. Mr. Speaker, I was even signaling that you should stop our brother Felix Ofosukwache. Mr. Speaker, we have our views. We've expressed those views. We've done so with all respect. Mr. Speaker, when the debate was ensuing, I received a text from one of us, who I so much respect, that 4 years or 8 years is not far away. I was touched. We will do the politics and criticize you constructively, but you must also be careful the words you use. We are considering a report. You are in government. You are not even mindful of the fact that we need to finish this business for you, for the president to swear them in. No problem. Don't worry. Go on. Yes. To the bank benchers who are not ready to learn, go ahead. Your leader spoke, and we listened to him in silence. The least you can do is to show respect to your leaders, those of you at the backbench. And I have what it takes to correct you. I will call your names one by one and call you to order, because I'm your senior in this chamber.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I will plead with you that when members are going out of order, with greatest respect, please stop them and let them get on the right path. Because he started, and then when he gets to his turn, they don't want to be quiet to listen. Mr. Speaker, we have done more than 30 nominees. It's only 2 we've expressed concern. And even so, the horses have not bolted yet. We can still keep them in the stable We are not, you don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. You cannot use shouts to have your way. That will not happen. You must know. Yes, you can shout. You cannot use shout. You cannot intimidate to have your way. It will not work. I want you to know, it will not work. You cannot shout, attempt to intimidate to have your way. It will not work. This chamber, if you don't know, ask your seniors. They've been in minority before. We are more resilient to deal with issues. Don't
Leader.
take us for granted. We are a happy few.
Leader, thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I want to address you. And they must listen. I will be heard and I will speak. So make your noise. It's getting to 9. You have a government business. So keep making your noise. Keep shouting. You have government business. So keep shouting. We don't have government business. So keep shouting. No. I'll finish. Mr. Speaker, let us be guided not only by talks. When leaders are on their feet, the least a backbencher and a first-timer can do is to remain quiet. You can heckle your colleague backbencher. You can heckle your colleague backbencher. Mr. Speaker, it is 8:36. If they are interested in what we call in Parliament filibustering, we will assist them to filibuster. If you want us to leave here at 1 a.m., you the backbenchers, continue your misconduct. Continue your misconduct. We don't have government business. You do. So continue your misconduct. Until you keep quiet, I will not make my point. You will keep quiet and listen to me. It's 8:39. Your president is waiting to swear in ministers. Talk to them. Leader. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want my colleagues to know that we have 2 reports. We have 2 reports. And we are taking 5 each. It is late. They should allow the debate to flow. We also have a vote to take. We know how long a secret ballot can take. All of these must be done. And if we are to manage the process, it will materially depend on their conduct. Wait, I know what I'm doing. Mr. Speaker, my respected colleague, Honorable Samuel Abujenapo, is on his feet. I will plead with my colleagues opposite me to patiently listen to him to finish. If they don't want to listen to him, I will continue to be at his aid and protect him. Yes, I will go ahead. I will go ahead. You have government business, and you will see. Yes, you think you are in opposition.
Honorable members,
behavior. Be there.
Honorable members, honorable members. Leader, thank you. Yes, Honorable Abu.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we are not done yet. Mr. Speaker, please, we are not done. Mr. Speaker, our brother Abu Jinapo must be heard. They should become quiet and hear him in silence. I rest my case. He will be heard, and he must be heard.
Honorable members, I have decided not to allow any interjection. So that is why when you raise this issue, I just want us to flow so that we can finish early. So please, honorable members, not that I don't know what I'm doing. Please allow me to. Honorable Abu, just finish up, conclude, and let's move on.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. I listened to the majority leader, who is a senior in this house and a senior brother, that I take counsel from him, I mean, in private and in public. And I've also listened to our very distinguished minority leader, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader has indicated that the subject matter for which reason I gave the advice is not verified. This is a statement coming from the majority leader, that it is not verified. Mr. Speaker, to that extent, I unreservedly withdraw and apologize to my brother Sam George. No difficulty with that. Mr. Speaker, but in so saying, Mr. Speaker, but in so saying, I think it goes to reiterate the point I was making in my submission, Mr. Speaker, that, Mr. Speaker, fairness and justice is a basis of nobility, not weakness. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, the gentlemanness expressed and exhibited by the minority leader, and in all modesty myself, it goes to our friend the nominee as well. Mr. Speaker, he unfairly, and he's been captured in this report, he unfairly attacked the Chief Justice, and he's been called upon to apologize. He will not. Mr. Speaker, he attacked the president. He attacked the former president. He's called upon to apologize, and he will not. Mr. Speaker, so I want to conclude. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, why are they afraid of a debate with a micro minority? Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by saying that I wish my brother very well. I don't know what his fate will be. I see he's very pensive. He's very anxious. And little did I know that he can be subdued. Little did I know that he can be subdued. So, Speaker, let me conclude by reiterating the advice. So, Speaker, when you are in opposition, be careful what you say. Be careful the standards you set. So, Speaker, this government is less than 1 month old, and yet the contradictions we are seeing, the inconsistencies, and the rest. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I wish him well, but if he gets the opportunity and ends up at the Ministry of Communication, he should watch his temperament. It will do him a lot of good. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, the question is, all those in favor of the motion listed 14.
Speaker, that's not how you conclude it. No.
Mr. Speaker, the report before you, Mr. Speaker, The report before you has two components. The report before you has two components, Mr. Speaker. No, he didn't say so. No. Please, we should be clear. No, we should be clear. Please. Because the other one, we should be clear.
Honorable Minority Leader, please allow me to do my job. Yes. So please allow me. I know what I'm doing, please. So you just. Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, the question is, all those in favor that Honorable Abdul Rashid Hassan Pepu is approved as Minister Designate for Labor, Jobs and Employment, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Abdul Rashid Hassan Pepu has been approved as Minister Designate for Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment. All those in favor that Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed is approved as Minister Designate for Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion to approve Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed is approved. All those in favor that Honorable Kofi Idi Adams is approved as Minister Designate for Ministry of Sports and Recreation, say aye. Aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Kofi Idi Adams has been approved as Minister Designate for Ministry of Sports and Recreation. All those in favor that Honorable Joseph Bukali Nipe is approved as Minister Designate for Ministry of Transport, say aye. Aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Joseph Bukali Nipe has been approved as Minister Designate for Ministry of Transport.
Go ahead. We are not going to vote. It's very good. You don't have numbers to say you want to vote. Where is the numbers? What are you?
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as indicated in the report of the committee, the 88 members of 88 members of the minority reject the nomination of Honorable Samuel Nefe George. We remain opposed to the decision for his nomination to be approved by this House by consensus. We rely on our earlier grounds of opposition without more. We therefore leave this matter entirely in the hands and on the heads of the majority in this House. It is their cross to carry. We, the NPP Minority Caucus of 88, and let the record reflect that we have stepped down our opposition in view of the calls by respected members of this House. We are therefore not going to pursue any longer the secret ballot, but rather to abstain. This is out of deference to members of this House who have reached out in utmost respect, and we want to demonstrate that good faith for the records by saying that in view of the representations made, we would rather opt to abstain from the vote so that it becomes your sole decision for Hansard. We are therefore opposed to it, and Mr. Speaker, it is majority. Carry your own cross. We've washed our hands on them. This is all we've done. Take it.
Honourable members, honourable members, honourable members, now that the minority as a group has abstained, I ask for those who are abstaining so that the records will capture as the minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, our work is to assist you. Mr. Speaker, I am on my feet led by precedents. Once I, as the leader of our side, in my submissions, have indicated that the entire 88 are abstaining. That
honourable members, please let's allow. Oh.
Don't worry. Mr. Speaker, we have had this before in this chamber. We are abstaining the entire 88. Let the records reflect as such. And we want Hansard to so capture that it is entirely the decision of the majority. We had nothing to do with it. So, Mr. Speaker, this issue of back and forth, we are not part of it. And let it put the question to them and let them take it, and then you record it as.
Minority has no intention to participate in the vote. So you put the question and then let us vote. If after we have voted, nobody objects and calls for head count or anything of that sort, then the decision is taken. It's a majority decision. The report already says that it's a majority decision. And the minority, whether they are 28 in the chamber or they are 88 in the chamber, I withdraw. 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 I take it back. I withdraw. So, Mr. Speaker, just put the question. Just put the question.
Honorable members, the question is, all those in favor that Honorable Samuel Nate George is approved by majority, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, it's obvious. Honorable Samuel Nate George is hereby approved by the majority of this House. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am grateful for the opportunity to, on behalf of the nominees approved, extend our profound gratitude to the committee, the appointment committee, and the House, particularly the majority side. Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, on behalf of the House, let me congratulate our colleagues for their appointment. We believe they will make the House proud. Yes. Yes, let me hear from you.
Mr. Speaker,
Chairman.
the 11th report is ready. Yes. Right Honorable Speaker, the procedural motion.
Ministers.
Honorable members, respectfully, the report has been laid and the report to be distributed to honorable members.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
I beg to move that, notwithstanding the provisions of...
Chairman, I'll give you the opportunity. Let me hear.
Mr. Speaker, it is sunset. We have done enough government business. Mr. Speaker, it is 9 p.m. Honorable Governor Kwame Agboja, once upon a time as a chief whip, will not allow government business to be conducted at night. He knows it. Mr. Speaker, the report has just been circulated. Mr. Speaker, I have checked. This report was just put on the system. Members have not had the opportunity to read. Mr. Speaker, we've often been accused of not doing proper diligence. Yes. We are supposed to read the report. The 11th report, Mr. Speaker, all of a sudden they have populated this chamber. Mr. Speaker, with a lot of their backbenchers, with one aim, to come and intimidate the mighty few. Mr. Speaker, this will not allow. Democracy does not mean that you use your supposed super majority to intimidate us. Mr. Speaker, let us go and relax. Come back tomorrow morning, read the report, and come and do the government business. Mr. Speaker, I would not support this idea of overloading members of parliament. Mr. Speaker, our health, the health of the members of parliament must be of great concern to the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, this report cannot be taken today. There was no proud discussion on this particular report. Mr. Speaker, in the list, there must be a suspension of the House for us to go through the report and, if possible, come back. Mr. Speaker, we can't just be on our feet to take this report. The chair of the committee cannot invite this House in terms of Order 1041. The rules are not to be abused. You should sparingly be invoking Order 1041. Mr. Speaker, this morning the Right Honorable Speaker promised the minority that we would get his protection. Mr. Speaker, that promise is applicable to you, mutatis mutandis. It's applicable to you.
But leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Leader, it includes your own friend Akando.
Mr. Speaker, I know the previous report included your own friend Sam George. Your own friend Sam George and my former friend Sam George. Mr. Speaker, I know. Akando is my respected friend. But I want to plead with him that he should allow us to come tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, if Akando has no problem, but his report has been contaminated. There are some poison fruits around his own edible fruits. That makes it difficult for his fruit to be edible. Mr. Speaker, when a leader is on his feet and his whips are putting pressure on him, what can he do? Arrest my case.
Leader, so let's go on. It's conceded, so let me give the...
Mr. Speaker, let us continue with the business.
Yes, leader,
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the motion numbered item number 2 at page 1 of the order paper addendum. Right Honorable Speaker, I so move.
Yes, thank you very much. Honorable Member, the motion on addendum paper 2 has been moved by the chairman of the appointment committee. Yes, minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion. Mr. Speaker, in seconding the motion, let me make some few observations for the records.
Leader, this is procedural, so if you can.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I am saying that I'm making some few observations for the record.
This motion is procedural.
I am aware, yes. Is it not under order 1041?
Very well,
yes. Mr. Speaker, for want of time, I will limit myself to just one observation. The chair of the committee, in moving this house, failed to give us reasons for invoking order 1041. I will, however, second his motion by giving him the opportunity to give stated reasons for inviting us under order 1041 when it comes to moving the motion for the report to be adopted proper. Thank you.
So it means you've not seconded?
Mr. Speaker, it should be deemed seconded with all the reluctance.
Very well. Yes. Chairman, give us...
Right Honorable Speaker, the motion is moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House.
That is not your purview. Chairman,
right?
The seconder wants to know why the reason for order 1041.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The reason for waiving the 2 days notice that has to be given before the report is taken is that, Right Honorable Speaker, vetting on the nominees have been completed. The report is ready to be taken. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to do this to enable the President to constitute his cabinet on a record time. So, Right Honorable Speaker, once the vetting has been completed and the report is ready, there is absolutely no necessity based on which the House will have to wait for 2 good days before taking the report. Mr. Speaker, in that vein, I moved that we waive the period of the notice so that we can proceed to take the substantive motion for the nominees to be approved, or for this House to take a decision on the nominees. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker.
So, Leader, more or less, it's an application to the chair to waive that.
Mr. Speaker, I'm opposed to the application. The gravamen of his application is to the effect that the President needs to constitute his cabinet. The impression he's creating is that the President conveyed these nominees to this House and we have delayed. So any further delay would cause the President. Mr. Speaker, the President was bringing the names here in tots. He was coming here in bits. These nominees, even the adverts we put out requesting for public memoranda, some were given 2 days, some 3 days. In fact, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the report, the majority side took advantage of our decision to recuse ourselves as a result of Mr. Speaker's communication to railroad all their nominees. In an hour. Mr. Speaker, it's only 2 nominees that went through what I call proper vetting. Honorable Kwabna Minta Akando and our respected friend and brother Sami Okudzeto Ablakwa, who is to assume the foreign ministry portfolio. That is if we even complete. Mr. Speaker, he has called for a second vetting. That is student days politics, energy is still in him. So he's even calling for second vetting. Mr. Speaker, they took advantage of that situation to push all 9 nominees through. Do you call this vetting? And then you come back to make an application that the President must constitute his cabinet. Mr. Speaker, I am opposed to this application, and if Mr. Speaker is not minded by the good arguments made and still want to grant his application, which in my view is very lame. It's very lame. Mr. Speaker, it's entirely in your hands.
Thank you very much. I've granted the waiver because I know the minority leader himself is desirous to have the waiver granted. So, honourable members, the motion has been moved and has been seconded. This is procedural, and the question is all those in favor of the motion listed 2 in the other paper addendum say aye. All those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Now, let's move to motion 3.
Right, Honourable Speaker, because we are everyday learning, I want to place on record that once the motion is moved and seconded, you can oppose it. Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that this Honourable House adopts the 11th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as minister. And Right Honorable Speaker, in doing so, I present the 11th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as ministers. The following people. Right Honorable Speaker, first on the list is Honorable Kobna Minta Akando as Minister Designate for Health, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa as Minister Designate for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Seydou Isifu as Minister of State Designate for Climate Change and Sustainability, Mrs. Charity Gardner as Minister Designate for Ahafo Region, Mr. Salisu B. Awurbe Isifu as Minister Designate for Savannah Region, Mr. Wilbert Petty Brentum as Minister Designate for Western North Region, Mr. Joseph Nelson as Minister Designate for Western Region, Mr. Joseph Adai Akwabwa as Minister Designate for Bono Region, Mr. Francis Owusu Entry as Minister Designate for Bono East Region, Honorable Felix Kwachi Ofosu as Minister of State Designate for Government Communications, Mr. Edumwa Ekopeni Ochre as Minister Designate for Central Region, Mr. Poison Charles Luanga as Minister Designate for Upper West Region. Mr. Speaker, I will urge the Hansa Department to capture the entire report, 103 pages report as having been read. Mr. Speaker, I proceed to read the conclusion of the committee. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Article 78(1) of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana and Standing Order 217, the committee considered the nominations submitted by His Excellency the President. After thorough deliberations, the committee finds the nominees competent, knowledgeable, and well-suited for their respective ministerial roles. The committee therefore recommends to the House by consensus the adoption of its report and the approval of the nomination of Honorable Kobna Minta Akando as Minister for Health, Mr. Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa as Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Seydou Isifu as Minister of State, Climate Change and Sustainability, Mrs. Charity Gardner as Minister for Ahafo Region, Mr. Salisu B. Awurbe Isifu as Minister for Savannah Region, Mr. Wilbert Petty Brentum as Minister for Western North Region, Mr. Joseph Nelson as Minister for Western Region, Mr. Joseph Adai Akwabwa as Minister for Bono Region, Mr. Francis Owusu Entry as Minister for Bono East Region, Honorable Felix Kwachi Ofosu as Minister of State responsible for Government Communications, Mr. Edumwa Ekopeni Ochre as Minister for Central Region, and Mr. Poison Charles Luanga as Minister for Upper West Region. Right Honorable Speaker, I urge the House to similarly adopt the committee's report by consensus. I humbly submit.
Yes, honorable members, the substantive motion has been moved by the chairman of the committee. Yes, the ranking of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I rise in seconding the motion. In doing so, I would want some observations to be properly captured for Hansard in respect of the reports we have. Mr. Speaker, first on Honorable Kobna Minta Akando, it is without doubt that the minority, together with the majority, agreed to approve him by consensus, and there is no problem at all on his nominee, on his report and the decision we took. Mr. Speaker, on the second nominee, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, the recommendation on page 31 of the 103 report reads, prior to the votes, the minority recuse themselves. Nonetheless, the committee recommends to the House by consensus the approval of the nomination of Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, this would have to be corrected. Our side had a certain understanding of Mr. Speaker's communication. That notwithstanding, we want to presume this to be a regular vetting, though we recuse ourselves at at a point. The conclusion here is that the recommendation is by majority decision. Our side is not part of it, and we will take a vote on this matter. Having said so, for the records, Mr. Speaker, on policy, the nominee distinguished himself on the issues regarding the portfolio he is going to occupy. The nominee himself indicated in his CV that he is the chair of the ORA, which committee we have questioned its constitutionality. We are not against any desire of a government to investigate a crime. Not at all. Crime is a crime, and if somebody decides to commit a crime, the laws of the land must deal with the person. But as it is known, if all men find a man's hand in a till, his guilt must be proven. Due process of law is what we've enshrined in our laws. A moment ago, the leader of government business took us through the rule of law when he was commenting on J.B. Dankwa and his contribution to national history. So, Mr. Speaker, we are against his chair of this ORA and the activities in the country. We think, and we hold this whole view firmly, their actions are taking this country back. They must allow due process to take place in our country. As a country, we have used institutions to deal with situations. That is why, apart from the mainstream police service, we enacted a law to establish IOCO. Not only that, we enacted a law to establish Financial Crime Office Center. That is why we set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor. That is why we have the NIB. That is why today you have various divisions at the police service with specialization in different crimes. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't have to appear too populist by encouraging some of these unconstitutional interventions. He proudly said he's a member of that. Mr. Speaker, let me also state he's a chair and a member. Mr. Speaker, I want to state for the records, although some members of this committee have been denying it, we've heard businessmen complaining that this so-called ORA has been going to their houses and their office premises with video cameras, photographs, taking pictures. They have been using drones. Mr. Speaker, I here, as a leader of my side, I have been a victim of it, yet they say that they don't know. Mr. Speaker, the former defense minister, last week, he called upon me, the chief whip, and the clerk to Parliament. They chased his vehicle in the name of Ora. Let's be very clear. Certain things that are happening in this country. Can I finish? Honorable colleagues, please, you need to listen. You need to listen. Mr. Speaker, they chased his vehicle all the way to this Parliament House. And when we made enquiries, apparently it was not coming from national security. And those in charge said that they were sent by Ora. Mr. Speaker, national security said these were not their men, but they were using national security vehicle, and when they were interrogated further, they said that they are coming from Ora. Mr. Speaker, we need to be careful which destination we want to drive the vehicle called Ghana to. I am happy that the oral committee is denying. That should tell you that when you set up such a populist body, people take advantage. Two populists, such a populist committee, people take advantage. Scared of what? People take advantage to settle scores. Mr. Speaker, we do not have to wish this for the country. Now,
and you like this? And you like this?
Mr. Speaker, the nominee.
And you like this?
The nominee,
Honorable Collins, he is seconding the motion. So just let's tolerate. Honorable Collins, I know why I'm tolerating.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Collins Dauda is a very experienced member of this House. He is recounting his own experience, but he knows. He calls me Miwafase. Mr. Speaker, he knows that some of us who were in government never supported a thing like this. He knows that for a fact. And Mr. Speaker, senior members of this House know that there are some members of this House who have the conscience of the society we live in and have never supported any actions detrimental to them when they were in opposition. They know. This is not the time to mention names, but they know. Mr. Speaker, if it was bad yesterday, it remains bad today and it will be bad tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, the nominee went further. Mr. Speaker, the nominee went further without being asked. Produced my own documents on my land. He said that in the name of Ora, they had conducted a search. The good news is that in their attempt to find out whether my land in Winneba belonged to the state, they came to a conclusion that it is not a state land. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I had become aware that somebody had petitioned Ora and had said that the police college in Winneba. Mr. Speaker, my members, my colleagues who are shouting, they should know that this became a subject matter of our proceedings. So I am within the ambit of relevance. So please pay attention. Somebody had filed a petition to Ora claiming that my land in Winneba is part of state land. And the chair of Ora, in coming to his vetting, carried a search report. And in that search report, at least he got to know that where my building is in Winneba is not state land and I've not looted. Mr. Speaker, again, it is important for him as chair and all the members of this aura to know that, Mr. Speaker, the entire Winneba lands are affected by vested assets through an executive instrument. Mr. Speaker, going further, the nominee, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, if you look at page 30 of the 103 report, I quote, the nominee promised to furnish the committee with the following upon request by the ranking member with the leave of the chairman. There's a list of documents that he promised to furnish us. The nominee has been able to furnish the committee with a documentation only on the Savvy and Volta Clenham companies as at the time of finalizing this report. We just need to put on record that there were 9 documents that he promised to furnish us on his own volition. Mr. Speaker, this we have not received. Mr. Speaker, the only 2 they brought, they are still here. The 2 they brought, his company registration, I have it here. Those 2 company registration documents, these are the only 2 that they brought. No, I have captured. Pay attention. I said, no, nominee has been able to furnish the document with only on Savvy and Volta Clenham companies. These are the only 2 we have received. Mr. Speaker, we believe that he who comes to equity must do equity. Let the record reflect that this side is not pursuing a member of this house. But, Mr. Speaker, the colleague himself publicly says that he is a public-spirited Ghanaian, and he's on record of always pursuing people and finding out their sources of income, especially the political class. Mr. Speaker, if you are holding people's feet to the fire, Mr. Speaker, I will make this point. If you are holding people's feet to the fire, demanding accountability and transparency, it means that you yourself must demonstrate that when subjected to it, you will...
Honourable member, please.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague Honorable Ablakwa has been taking people on in the public space. He questions people's birth certificates. He questions people's sources of income. He questions people's passports, people's travel. Mr. Speaker, he questions them. If today he lives at airports and provides it on his CV that he lives at the airport and claims that he is a tenant for 8 years, it only stands to reason that he makes available all documents related to the tenancy. We are not pursuing this person. Ablakwa knows that I, Kwame, here will be the last to stand against his political progress. Never. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I will never. Those who know me and know me well know me and what I stand for. I am a politician like you. I will not be the one to be pursuing you. I will not. But to the extent that you do not spare your colleagues, Mr. Speaker, especially during the vetting, I found it very strange that Mr. Ablakwa apparently took the car loan of 2021, because it's on record, both on social media and traditional media, questioning the car loan that MPs take. And he's used the word, it was unconscionable. When I asked the question, he said that 2013, he took the car loan, he used it to buy a Land Cruiser. In the second in his second term, that was 2017, he used that one to buy 2 saloon cars. And then the third one, he used that to buy a combine harvester. Mr. Speaker, you and I know that there is no way the clerk to Parliament, upon receiving a letter that a member wants to use his car loan to buy a combine harvester, clerk will not issue a check to a vendor who is selling a combine harvester to a member of Parliament. It is not true, and it can't be possible. He has been pursuing people. He is questioning the integrity of members of Parliament, that it's unconscionable to access car loan. Yet, on all the 3 terms he's been a member of Parliament, he has relied on these facilities. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say it is hypocritical, but it is also for all of us as a house to realize that we must be measured in the way we pursue each other and one another and others. Today, he is now going into government. I know Mr. Ablakwa as a true gentleman in terms of his dressing. He does, yes, Mr. Speaker, he dresses well. He wears quality things. He wears quality shoe, quality suit, quality tie. He dresses well, and I respect him for that, and he knows. If tomorrow somebody says, colleagues, this is a serious matter. If tomorrow, by mere fact that he's a gentleman, he dresses well, somebody now comes to ask you, how much did you buy your suit? This designer shoe, how much did it cost you? Because, Mr. Speaker, for 8 years, the member says that all he has is his MP salary of 15,000. He says that all he does is his MP work. He has not done other business because the Savvy company, he folded that company up way back in 2015. Mr. Speaker, I am saying this because our colleague has taken a lot of public officers to the cleaners. And this is not personal. This is not personal. He's taken a lot of us to the cleaners. And if you create the impression that you are very holy and very righteous and you are a crusader, yet you don't want to be scrutinized, then there's a problem. So, Mr. Speaker, as a matter of principle, we are opposed to him because of the inconsistencies and the lack of clarity. Mr. Speaker, for the other colleagues, for the other 9 that within 1 hour, they took advantage of our absence to pass all of them. All we can say is that majority, go and sin no more. Go and sin no more. The congratulations bye-bye group. Mr. Speaker, there is a group of 9. Congratulations bye-bye, I wish you well. Mr. Speaker, they even add, bye-bye, take care of yourself. And for them, Mr. Speaker, we will raise a procedural issue at the right time. But we will not stand in their way today because we have no problem with them. We believe that these regional ministers must take office. We can't allow vacuum at the various regional ministries, regional coordinating councils, and even on our colleague Ablakwa, who we are opposed to him We believe that because that foreign ministry is a very serious, important ministry, an organ of state, we will take a decision on him tonight. And let me, without equivocation, state that we will proceed with the same abstinence. We abstain from his decision. It is solely a majority's call. All the sins of Ablakwa are upon their head. Get me water. I need water. Mr. Speaker, this one, I need proper water. This is not a dry washing, just some small water. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this one, we are washing our hands. We are washing our hands to tell them that every sin at the airport hills, Mr. Speaker, I'm cleaning. Mr. Speaker, and I'm cleaning. I am cleaning my hands to tell them that we are not part of the sins that he has committed. All the airport hill sins are on their head. If tomorrow he and his aura start pursuing you, it is on your head. But if he repents and comes back to this house, we will accept him and make him awa too. Mr. Speaker, we rest our case.
Honorable members, the motion has been moved, has been seconded. I'm going to put the question.
Let him sit down first. Let him also sit down. Let him also sit down.
Honorable members, hey, I'm taking one each. One. Please, I am on the chair. I'm taking the decision. Honorable Dominic Nitiwu, just speak. Honorable Dominic Nitiwu. Dominic Nitiwu, I've called you. One. After one, I'll call one here, then I'll put the question. Yes. One.
No, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, Honorable Suhini, the speaker spoke as the ranking. He seconded. So please don't say the speaker has spoken. He spoke by virtue of being the ranking of the committee. So,
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, we have 9 nominees that this House is approving. We are talking to the people of Ghana. We are speaking on behalf of the people of Ghana. To say that you approve non-nominees with just 1 or 2, we are not being fair to the people of Ghana. Especially, Mr. Speaker, especially when they are not 9, they are 12 people. Mr. Speaker, when these 12 people, the appointment committee used less than 2 hours to approve these 12 people. So I will plead with leadership that do the people of Ghana good by allowing members who are here after 9 o'clock to get the opportunity to comment. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that we should put it on record that these nominees, this group of nominees, have received the shortest time of their vetting ever. That is the record that those who sat on their vetting are given to the people of Ghana. And if you listen to public commentary, the people of Ghana are not happy about what happened. Mr. Speaker, none of us on this side especially me or any other person, has a personal problem with any nominee. We don't. We don't have personal problems with any nominee. But, Mr. Speaker, we have the duty to be able to point out to the people of Ghana.
Honorable Nitiwo, please hold on for me. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the 12 people, the vetting started from 10 a.m. in the morning and ended around 11 p.m. in the night. Mr. Speaker, for the 12 people. Mr. Speaker, in the morning, the first person we vetted, I think that day, was Akando. Mr. Speaker, the minority participated. Even with their participation and all the opportunities that were given to them, they took only 25 minutes to vet him. They were involved. They used 25 minutes. Mr. Speaker, they left us and we vetted 9 nominees. Felix, Honorable Felix, spent close to 1 hour. I personally took Felix through a very, very grueling vetting exercise. Mr. Speaker,
Leader,
I asked him every question.
Leader, I was going to give you opportunity. And
he answered very well, Mr. Speaker. So you cannot create an impression that the committee did not do a good job after you had left.
Leader,
Mr. Speaker, even when you were there, you used only 25 minutes to get the nominee.
The work of the committee is subjective. That's the way he sees it. So allow him to speak.
Mr. Speaker,
you give you the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker,
then you also say the way you see the
Mr.
committee.
Speaker, thank you very much. In spite of his attempt to say that he grilled the nominee, 58 minutes, 9 nominees were approved. That is a record the people of Ghana have. That is a fact. You can check from social media. Check from what the people of Ghana are saying. But, Mr. Speaker, our people say that the child who washes his hands well is the one who knows how to eat with visitors. My good friend, Honorable Okudzeto, Ablakwa, they use their hands. Maybe you are from Accra. Me, I'm from a village. We are different. Mr. Speaker, my good friend, Honorable Okudzeto, very young man, has decided that he wants to do good to the people of Ghana. It's good. But when you decide, then you have to go the full walk with the people of Ghana. After the vetting, if you go everywhere, the people of Ghana are demanding answers from him. How is it possible, Mr. Speaker, that an individual who says, I earn only 15,000 Ghana cedi, can rent from Airport Hill, a mansion from Airport Hill, on a 2-acre land where land is $500,000.
Honorable Dominic.
A piece of plot at Airport Hill today is $500,000. I didn't say I'm renting.
Right, Honorable Speaker, as much as we do politics, we need to be very careful not to wash our dirty linen in public. Right, Honorable Speaker, we know. Right, Honorable Speaker, we know that some matters are for closed sitting. So we should be very careful the way we do some politics regarding certain issues. And I are very much aware
Chairman, thank you.
About certain things that we do in closed sitting. So please.
Chairman, thank you. Yes, Honorable Dominic.
Mr. Speaker, I was not at the vetting of him. In fact, I wanted to be there, but I wasn't there. But Mr. Speaker, I watched him live, I watched him. It was there for everybody to see. It was not about close sitting. What he said, every Ghanaian heard it. When that question was put to him by the minority leader. So the people of Ghana are still demanding these answers. It will help him and help this purpose and help every politician. It will help every politician if he's able to let the people of Ghana know where he's getting money to rent that property at Airport Hill. Mr. Speaker, I commend them for saying that they will do oral work. I commend you. I just want you to make sure that the oral committee is set up properly according to law and do your work. But Mr. Speaker, I want them to go to Botema first. Go to Botema first. Check the land that was given between 2014 and 2015, 2016. Who are the members who benefited Botema? Go to Botema. Committee chairman, I want you to go to Botema. Affordable had where President Mahama built. The land that shares boundaries will be state land. It was given in 2014 and 2015, part of it 2016. Find out the people who own that land. Mr. Chairman of ORA, I want you to go to aviation land, that huge land at Medina, Adenta, the aviation land. Find out the people who owned that land. You are part of ORA, go and do that. Mr. Chairman of ORA, I want you to go to Tamale, behind what we call the residency, where the president sometimes goes and he sleeps. Go and find out, they are all state lands. Go and find out the owners of those lands. Go and find out. Mr. Chairman, I want you to go.
I'm tired. After that maple.
Mr. Chairman, I want you to go to the land. I want you to go to the land opposite, adjacent to the military cemetery. And
somebody called me that is coming to you and you want to.
Why are they putting up? No. Mr. I will stay until I'm. Mr. Speaker, somebody is putting up the mic. Mr. Speaker, I thought that
honorable member, please, let's respect ourselves. Those people who are putting on the mics, please.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I ask the chairman of
honorable members. I'm not. No.
I think Parliament needs to.
Honorable Netu, I'm not going to take any more. I'm tired.
Mr. Speaker, when I start speaking, they put up.
Honorable members, those who are putting on their mics.
But when they were doing it, that was here.
Leadership, majority leadership, majority leadership, majority leadership. Please make sure your members don't put on the mics. Honorable members, when I say this and you get flared up, at times we are doing government business, we have to finish and leave. And your own members are putting on their mics. What? So we should suspend sitting. Majority leader, do you suspend sitting? What is this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful for the opportunity once again. Mr. Speaker, I said I want the chairman of ORA, and I'll be right officially to you to go to Tamale. Mr. Chairman, I want to go to Tamale and assess. Let me put my hand behind my back so that you know
why can't you be tolerant a bit?
Problem. Oh, Mr. Chairman, I have all of the state lands that were obtained between 2010 to 2016. I will provide the chairman to. Mr. Chairman, I'm surprised that accountability, which is in our constitution, has become a problem here. The oral chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, let's find out the land that is adjacent to the military cemetery. The letter that was written by the Honorable Attorney, the current Attorney General, and why that letter was written, and why that land was released to chain homes, the real owners. Let's find out. I'm charging the oral chairman to find out. Mr. Speaker, I am asking the oral chairman to find out the owners of the state land that is between the East Legon police station along the electricity pylon under the high tension, all that land. Who released that land and for who? I want to find out. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am bringing this to the fore. Because we are building a country. The country we are building is called Ghana. We must ensure that actions of government are in the interest of the country and not the interest of any individual or a political party. I am saying to the oral chairman, and I'm saying that when your committee is properly constituted, beware that some of us, I was minister, I don't have a single government property. I never stayed in a government house. I never did anything illegal. And I'm saying that I will be writing officially to you when your committee.
Honourable member, please wind up.
I can wind up. I can wind up. They will not allow me to speak. I'm here to come to the others. Why? Mr. Speaker, what caused that Thursday night is the same attitude that's been brought here. When you are on your feet, when the majority leader was on his feet, I sat down. I've been in parliament. This is my 19th year of being in parliament. I've won 6 elections. I said, majority leader, when I'm talking, you are putting off the mic. That is what caused the problems. It's wrong. And leader, call them to order. It's wrong. You cannot. Mr.
From their end.
It's from their end. From here. Look.
Honourable members, it's now 10 o'clock.
Mr. Speaker,
let's tolerate ourselves so that we can finish and leave.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have paid attention. I have watched my back. If you notice, at a certain point, my back was to the speaker. I have watched carefully. I don't think anybody on this side is fiddling with the mics. Maybe his mic has a problem. So if he can shift to another mic, I think that is where the problem is.
Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to my colleagues, all of us, not just the majority, that we are all here at this time because we want to finish this government business. Mr. Speaker, as democracy so demands, we must have our say. We want to plead with our colleagues to allow a full debate to ensue. My mother had earlier come to me to ask for how many each we're going to take on the report. I told her we have 2 reports, report number 10 and report number 11. We're going to do 5-5. 5-5 on each. We are done with the 10. We didn't go through the rigorous voting process. We opted to abstain. We've done that one. We are left with the 11th report. I seconded it. The first person to make a contribution, yes, is Honorable Nitiwul. He's been 19 years in this chamber. He's a senior member of this house.
The former leader of this house.
He's a former leader. Please, colleagues, let's hear him. When he's done, it will come to you and the process continues. It's 10 o'clock. We are here to help to conclude this. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues must cooperate with you so that we get done. You give it. Because leadership conferred. Mr. Speaker, I'm not challenging you. Leadership conferred. They sent Honorable Doyo to me. She came here. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Doyo came here. You see, sometimes when members don't act in good faith, it becomes difficult. As if we are up on our feet and we want to obstruct them. We agreed to do 5. If the majority leader wants to reduce it, he can reach out to me. I am not a difficult person to insist that, yes, maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't know me. With time, you get to know who I am. Maybe you don't know. I'm not a difficult person. What you are doing, I've done it before. I know how difficult it is. Even to bring all of you into this chamber, I know how difficult it was for the whips. So I won't frustrate you, but we'll do the politics. I will not frustrate you. Ask Harun Idrisu, the kind of person I am. I will not frustrate your politics. No, that is the truth. You must know the truth. Mr. Speaker, we agreed 5-5. If the majority leader wants us to negotiate on the numbers, I am amenable. I know you've been sitting for a very long time. We can deal with it and then make progress. Mr. Speaker, I would want to accept 4-4. Reduce it. Okay, Mr. Speaker, the majority leader says he wants 3. I will grant that. He says he wants 3. I will grant that. Thank you very much. For the records and not to avoid ambiguity, the 3 are Honorable Nitiwul, Honorable Abujinapo, and Honorable Ntimfojo. That's it. I want
honorable members, please take it from me. Everybody is speaking for 5 minutes. I'm not going beyond 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 3 each, 5 minutes each. I've been sitting here for since I can't go on.
Thank you, Mr. I just want to make one point clear, that the policy to dispose of government property, special houses and lands, started under the former President Rawlings, under what we call infilling. They are making it a crime. That is why we are saying that Amiens lands, dental aviation lands, airport lands, east and west, all the areas I have mentioned, will be submitting that to them to fish out who the owners are. Then we will know those who sold land and those who didn't steal land. But Mr. Speaker, I want to wish the nominees well. If they get the opportunity to be sworn in and passed by this House and be sworn in by the President, I want to wish them well. I got an opportunity to serve Ghana for 8 years without blemish. As the defense minister, they should listen to what Honorable Abu Jinapor said. If you enter the ministry with attitude, 1 year, you'll be out of that place. If you enter the ministry with a mindset that I know all, you will not last. If you enter the ministry that my party has won, and so you do whatever you want, you will not last. If you enter the ministry with the mindset that you are going to make money, you will not last. If you enter the ministry with the idea that everybody else is below you, you will not last. And there are people in this house, outside this house, who never lasted 1 year as ministers. Take it from me. Some did not even last 6 months. Some lasted 1 year. Some lasted 1.5 years as ministers. Those who serve 4 years and above should be proud of themselves. Because you are going to get sleepless nights. You are going to be tempted. So that's why I say I wish them well. I don't wish them bad. None of us will be appointed as ministers. You are the people who will be appointed as ministers. If they will have problems, it will be from you, not from here. We want to take power from you. We are not looking to be ministers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, gentlemen. Oh. So nobody is speaking from here. Yes, Honorable Samuel Buja for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the debate on the motion. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by highlighting Mr. Salisu Biawobi Isifu, who is Minister Designate for the Savannah region, and to say that, Mr. Speaker, he's somebody I know very well. He was the NDC Regional Secretary, and indeed I've known him as far back as my days in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Mr. Speaker, I find him a capable man, and I believe that we can all work together to bring about prosperity in Savannah region. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Akando, Minister Designate for Health, is somebody we all know very well, a senior colleague in this House. He's been very vociferous on matters of health in the 8th Parliament. Perfect, fine gentleman. We wish him well. We believe that he will do very well at the Ministry of Health. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, my very good friend, who I believe distinguished himself when it came to the substantive matters. Mr. Speaker, let me put that on record. When it came to the substantive matters of foreign policy. And I think it's important that I underscore that point. I was very concerned about his perceived leanings, leftist leanings and socialist leanings. I posed a question to him. He gave an answer which I believe will comfort the diplomatic community, that in this very complex geopolitical world of divide, of multipolars, he will be able to shepherd Ghana's foreign policy to bring about, and of course, the issue of economic diplomacy is one that I find very important as well. His matter is still at large. Of course, the majority will pass him. When he gets there, we will all cheer him on and wish him well, cooperate with him to position Ghana's foreign policy. But, Mr. Speaker, I think it's important that we put this on record. And I'm not getting into the mind or head of my friend Okudzeto Ablakwa, but I can be almost certain that if he was offered the opportunity to chair oral again, Mr. Speaker, he would decline. He would decline. He would decline. Mr. Speaker, because oral has brought the Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa more problems than good. Mr. Speaker, and it's brought him problems, and indeed, I think more problems will come. Mr. Speaker, it's brought in more problems because of fundamental principles. Mr. Speaker, let me underscore one very important principle. Mr. Speaker, the principle of hear the other side, listen to the other side, give the other side a hearing. The majority leader, I think 2 or 3 days ago, the majority leader underscored the same point, that he never condemns a man until he hears the man. Mr. Speaker, let me refer the chairman of Oral to the book of Genesis. Yes, to the book of Genesis. Mr. Speaker, chapter 3, verse 9 onwards, where God himself, where Almighty God himself, all-knowing God, before he condemned Adam, before he punished Adam, he gave Adam the right of hearing. He posed the question to Adam, and indeed, Mr. Speaker, it was only after Adam put up a spirited defense and God conducted an elaborate trial and gave him a hearing, what the lawyers call the odi alteram partem rule, a principle of natural justice. It was only and only after the defense that God punished and condemned Adam. Mr. Speaker, I want to make the point. Mr. Oral, your problem is that you've created the impression out there that some people are guilty when they have not been given a hearing. Mr. Speaker, that is the fundamental problem the Ghanaian people have with Oral. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let me refer the House. Let me refer the House once again. Member, let me refer the House once again.
You are left with 2 minutes.
Let me refer the House.
Yes, hear you. 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I thought we were micro minority. Let them debate the micro minority. Let them debate that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I refer the House. Mr. Speaker, I refer the House. I refer the House to 1 Corinthians. I refer my friend and brother, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Minister Designate for Foreign Affairs. Mr. Oral, I refer you to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12, where it is said, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, where it is said, and I quote, wherefore let him think that he stands. Take heed, lest he falls. And when I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I conclude by saying that the chairman of Oral, Mr. Oral himself is now struggling to wiggle his way and navigate through the web of Oral. And therefore, Mr. Speaker,
thank you.
Mr. Speaker,
Thank you.
Has brought him more problems.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Reverend Intim Fodjo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to contribute to the debate, to congratulate my colleagues who have been nominated to various positions, and to state that we wish them well and will support them to succeed in the roles that they have been vetted to. Mr. Speaker, in respect of Honorable Kwabena Minta Akando, Minister Designate for Health, he demonstrated his experiences in all the experiences that he has had. Being the ranking of the Health Committee was brought to the fore, and we are expecting that he will translate those experiences to delivery in ensuring that National Health Insurance Scheme is maintained and timeous disbursement of payments are done to ensure the smooth running and effective healthcare delivery. Honorable Sedu Isifu, Minister Designate or Minister of State for Climate Change, we wish him well, even though we see clear duplication of roles and mandates here with a substantive Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, with matters of climate change cutting across about 5 different ministries. They still found it fit in their strategy to still create Minister of State for Climate Change. We wish him well, Climate change is an important matter, and it's expected that he will coordinate a lot of these actions in this part of the world. Mr. Ekopin Ochre, I congratulate him, the Minister Designate for Central Region, my region, and to urge him to pay attention to the many chieftaincy disputes in the region and to see to their timeous resolution, and to turn his attention to Asim Mansu slave monument, a very huge potential tourist attraction. Honorable Felix Kwacho Fusu, my neighbor, I wish him the very best. He's a great communicator, going to be the Minister of State for Government Communication. It is important that he realizes that the integrity and credibility of government is so important and must be delineated from political propaganda. On my respected colleague, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, I have traveled the world with him, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee. His knowledge in foreign affairs, foreign relations is not in doubt. Mr. Speaker, my good friend has carved a brand for himself that is a man of accountability who seeks to save the public purse. When he was quizzed in that same spirit whether he was ready to sacrifice as a Minister of State to take economic class, he declined. He insisted that he would join. It is not befitting for a Minister for Foreign Affairs to fly economic class. He insisted on flying business class. We thought that in that principle, he would have opted for economy to save money. All right, Mr. Speaker, time will not permit me to quote quotations. My respected colleague, Honorable Jinapo, has quoted enough quotations. But when you strike forward one finger to your friend, the rest of the four point back to you. When you chew your tongue, you haven't chewed much meat. And so it is important that much as members are sensitive to their reputations and even demand apologies before start of vetting, they must equally be minded that the many reputations out there, that their actions, inactions, or exposés, even before verification, have costs out there, whether NDC or MPP. But the irony here is that oral so-called exposés only focuses on 2017 to 2024. I have never heard in the extensive presentation of the so-called oral exposés any expose relating to 2009 to 2016. We have never seen any such expose relating to 1992. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, the Honorable But when he was requested to submit only 9 documents relating to his affairs, he was not able to provide them even within 5 days. But he was able to load about 3 bags of documents relating to others. Mr. Speaker, I wish my brother well, but I want him to know that in the world of the he must exercise absolute circumspection, knowing that he and the President, the 5 minutes is being counted within the time the mic is on, Mr. Speaker. May I remind my respected friend, I wish him well to succeed, but he must have a positive image of this country.
Thank you so much.
And diplomacy. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank my colleagues for such a spirited debate on the report. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa never said any time, anywhere, that he earns 15,000 Ghana cedis a month. He never said that. He never said that. Mr. Speaker, all of us in this chamber know how much we earn. And we know that we don't earn 15,000. So you cannot say that he earns 15,000 and you use 15,000 as a benchmark to determine where he sleeps. Nobody says that. Mr. Speaker, I beg of you, let's be factual when we are evaluating the reports. Number two, Mr. Speaker, oral is a program that says that see something, say something. Mr. Speaker, we have not restricted what you can see and what you can say. If you have seen anything, say it. Say it. Mr. Speaker, if you think you saw land being taken between 2012 to 2016, say it. If you saw land being taken between 2016 to 2020, say it. Mr. Speaker, but say the truth. We started with a policy of infilling. Infilling. Do you know what infilling meant? Infilling was a policy that you notice that at that time, you will see one small bungalow in a 1 acre piece of land at cantonments. And yet government needed bungalows for workers. So the infilling policy enabled government to fit in additional accommodation in that space. That was what infilling meant. That was what infilling meant under the NDC. But when the NDC left office, the infilling became private people filling in. The records are there. The records are there. Mr. Speaker, the records are there. So don't come and create an impression that NDC is running away from accountability. You had 8 years. If you are concerned about protecting the lands of this country, public land, you should have done so. We have come and we are interested in protecting public lands. So we are telling the public to report anybody who has seen that public land has been stolen. Has been stolen. Mr. Speaker, we have not yet tried anybody for stealing public lands. So those who are alleging that oral is not giving an opportunity to people to be heard, and they are lawyers, I'm surprised. Because oral so far has only asked people to report. And when they report, you have to go to the site and verify. You have to go to the site and verify. All I have seen oral doing on television is going to the various sites where they have received reports to verify. When they put together a report, and then they submit the report to the various investigative agencies, those people will be invited and they will have a right to be heard. And they will be able to explain if the land belongs to them or the lands do not belong to them. If the land belongs to them, and indeed it was public property, how
Leader,
it became private property.
Thank you, Leader.
At what price they bought the property. Mr. Speaker, please. So please, so far, I have not seen oral commit anything that amounts to denying people a right to be heard. Mr. Speaker, let's not personalize oral. Let's not start calling someone Okudzeto Mr. Oral. Mr. Speaker, he is the chairman of a committee set up by the President of the Republic to give the public an opportunity to report any instance of what is perceived to be appropriation of public lands. He is not Mr. Ora. He is the chairman of Ora. Mr. Speaker, what you don't know
is he going to hold on to that position after?
Mr. Speaker, let me tell you, I was a member of the transition team. I was in the meeting at which the decision to initiate oral was taken. I was there. Indeed, there were those who argued that we should wait till government is formed, and then we will pass a legislation and establish it, and then it will start work. I was one of those who argued that there was nothing in law preventing the president from asking the public, the president-elect, from asking people to report any instance of stolen property. I argued. I was there. I argued and convinced my colleagues that it was perfectly legal for the president to set up a committee. Listen to the leader. And the committee was set up. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing that prevents Samuel Okudzeto as foreign minister to continue to chair the committee. There is nothing inconsistent with the law and his functions to continue to chair the committee. So, Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that we thank our colleagues for their contributions. So far, there is nothing that has been said that disqualifies any of the nominees. They have cautioned the nominees. In some instances, they've given very useful advice, and I believe the nominees will take those pieces of advice on board. And I now urge you, Mr. Speaker, to put the question.
Before I put the question, I want to be clear with respect to the nominee for Foreign Affairs. Are we taking that one on?
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, honorable members. Honorable members, please. Honorable members, the report indicated, Sam George, the report indicated that there's unanimity, but the minority leader said, with respect to Okudzeto, they want it to be approved by majority. So that is what I want to be cleared on. So very well. So let me do the rest, then later on I come to Okudzeto, Ablakwa. At the conclusion of the debate, all those in favor that Honorable Kwabena Minka Akando is approved as Minister Designate for Health, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Kwabena Minka Akando has been approved as Minister Designate for Health. All those in favor that Honorable Seydou Issoufou is approved as Minister of State Designate for Climate Change and Sustainability, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Seydou Issoufou has been approved as Minister of State Designate for Climate Change and Sustainability. All those in favor that Mrs. Charity Gardiner is approved as Minister Designate for Ahafo Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mrs. Charity Gardiner has been approved as Minister Designate for Ahafo Region. All those in favor that Mr. Salisu B. Awulibe Isifu is approved as Minister Designate for Savannah Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Salisu B. Awulibe Isifu is approved as Minister Designate for Savannah Region. All those in favor that Mr. Wilbert Petit Brintum is approved as Minister Designate for Western North Region, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Weber Petty Brintum has been approved as Minister Designate for Western North Region. All those in favor that Mr. Joseph Nelson is approved as Minister Designate for Western Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Joseph Nelson has been approved as Minister Designate for Western Region. As many as are in favor that Mr. Joseph Ade Akwabua is approved as Minister Designate for Bono Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Joseph Ade Akwabua is approved as Minister Designate for Bono Region. Mr. Francis Owusu Enkwi, all those in favor that he is approved as Minister Designate for Bono Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Francis Owusu Enkwi has been approved as Minister Designate for Bono East Region. As many as are in favor that Honorable Ferris Kwachi Ofosu is approved as Minister of State Designate for Government Communication, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable Ferris Kwachi Ofosu has been approved as Minister Designate as Minister of State Designate for Government Communications. All those in favor that Mr. Eduamwa Ekwao Penyin Ochori is approved as Minister Designate for Central Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Eduamwa Ekwao Penyin Ochori has been approved as Minister Designate for Central Region. And finally, all those in favor that Mr. Pozin Charles Ruanga is approved as Minister Designate for Upper West Region, say aye. Aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Mr. Pozin Charles Ruanga has been approved as Minister Designate for Upper West Region. Now, all those in favor that Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is approved as yes. Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Started their thing again. We started it again. Mr. Speaker, I indicated when I was seconding the motion that we are proceeding in terms of the earlier position taken on Honorable Sam George. I just needed to bring clarity to it for Hansa. That this decision again is the majority caucus decision. The minority is not part of this decision. the entire 88 members of the minority hereby reject the nominee for the Foreign Affairs portfolio, and same should reflect in Hansard. We abstain with our entire 88 in that rejection. The majority should know that even if they are doing their majority, if they would not become for us to cooperate with them, I can tell them that if they count, if they do a high count of their majority, they still require a certain threshold by constitution. So they should know the empty seats. They should know the empty seats. Mr. Speaker, you don't need a minority. You need your numbers. You need a threshold. Read the constitution. You have come in as a backbencher. All you are learning is how to shout. You are not even making it to deputy ministerial. You are there at the backbench. You may not even make it to a good committee. Sit and misbehave. So, Mr. Speaker, leaders have worked tirelessly to get all of us to this far. Some backbenchers who don't know the industry that has gone into where we are should learn from the front bench and not misbehave. Mr. Speaker, so in putting the question, I am suggesting to the chair to be clear in the language, to be used. I thank you.
Honorable members, as many as are in favor that Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is approved by majority, members of this House say aye. All those against say no. All those against say no. Honorable members, the honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion to approve Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa by majority of the House is hereby carried. Yes, Honorable Bernard.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. As a lawyer, I am always a student of the law. Right Honorable Speaker, if we look at Article 104 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, it reads, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the vote of the majority of the members present and voting. Right Honorable Speaker, if I look at the minority side,
but Honorable,
they
you've
don't
gone
have
past
the
this.
number 88.
You've gone past this.
But they always say 88 absentee.
Honorable member, I thought you were just thanking us.
Let me use the opportunity. Let me use the opportunity to thank the entire House for having approved the nominees of His Excellency the President. I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I believe you are in my house now. Yes. Tomorrow, when are we coming?
Mr. Speaker, we demand, since the member has raised a constitutional issue, we demand a head count. We demand a head count. We demand a head count to confirm whether they had the minimum constitutional threshold. The member, the chairman of the committee invoked a constitutional provision, Article 104, which requires that majority of members present. So even if it is a majority, they need a wanted.
Honorable members,
let's go through the process of a head count.
Respectfully, honorable member, respectfully, we are coming at 12 noon tomorrow. 12 noon tomorrow. The House is adjourned.